Currently, there are tens of thousands of charitable human rights environmental organizations and foundations. Thanks to these organizations, at one time the nuclear weapons tests were stopped, the industrial shooting of whales reduced, and cutting thousands of hectares of forest massifs were saved. It is precisely because of this daily struggle with governments and corporations whose interests and governments are represented, on our planet there are still reserves, national parks, remains of life in the ocean, and a small number of areas of freedom of speech to which the internet can still be considered. But now these organizations have lost their relevance. I will show the main reasons that prevent these organizations from uniting their efforts, because it is much easier to achieve what they declare and to what end they seek, and their goals are very similar. There are several reasons for this. The first reason is financial interest. All these organizations have their own personal pocket in the form of donations, and they do not want to share with each other. I could not find any open financial report about the funds received and spent by them. The second reason is leadership. The overwhelming majority of these organizations and funds, as well as the existing system, are created on the centralized principle, and their leaders consider their opinions to be the only correct one. The third reason is that the activities of all these organizations are strictly regulated by the current legislation and the power of those who own them. This fact is comprehensively disclosed in the movie of Kip Anderson, Cowspiracy. On the one hand, people daily pay taxes in their own countries to hold governments, and on the other hand, they spend their time and make donation for environmental protection measures and protest actions directed against the activities of the same governments. This is at least unreasonable. In the ENEBRA system, any person, instead of losing money and time at the next demonstration, can take part in the creation of the draft constitution of the planet Earth or any other law. This does not require government approval. Just write and justify your norm, and if most people support you, this norm will become an integral part of the life of all people on the planet. Modern philanthropists finance only organizations and projects that do not contradict with the interests of governments and large corporations of which they are, in fact, representatives. Under the existing system, all discoveries and technologies that have emerged from donations are hidden from ordinary people, eventually becoming the property of commercial structures and are realized for money. I could not find any technology or method of treatment created for the money of these philanthropists which would be given openly and free of charge among people. Therefore, their actions can hardly be called charity. For example, Bill Gates invests billions of dollars in the fight against malaria. In 1948, the emerging state of Israel, for some years in some strange way, got rid of this disease. Perhaps the philanthropist is more closely acquainted with the experience of this small but very reasonable country. Bill also sacrifices enormous funds for the teaching and training of teachers for the education system, the real goals of which I have already talked about in detail. Instead of simply making these techniques and knowledge free and open in the internet, then everyone would be free to take advantage of this invaluable gift for free. I respect Bill Gates and other philanthropists. Nobody has the right to tell them what to spend their capital on. But I believe that ordinary commerce should not be called charity. In the ENEBRA system, all technologies and techniques are completely open and accessible to anyone on a completely free basis, and the copyright to them belongs to their real creators. There is a paradise button in the interface of the ENEBRA application itself. When it is pressed, the funds from the person enter into the part financing of world projects, where people jointly determine for what priority needs they are directed. For a person clicking on this button, this means that he or she is more than secure, completely self-fulfilling, and gives these resources so that those who have not yet realized their projects could achieve their goal and improve their quality of life by improving the lives of other people and living beings on our planet.